It's a Monday after a racing weekend. There's plenty of fallout still to get into here from the circuit of the Americas. We'll have a detailed breakdown of all the action from Sunday's race in the GPFans Stewards Room podcast coming up on the channel later on in the week and available on all good podcasting outlets as well. But yesterday we heard from the team principals here. Now let's hear what the drivers had to say about an incredible racing Sunday in Austin, Texas. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are, of course, our lead headlines for the news this Monday. Before we go any further, hit the subscribe button down below to stay up to date with everything we do here at the channel. But now, let's get those all-important driver reactions from number 1 and number 2 in Austin on Sunday. A slightly surprising name to start the news this Monday, but Mick Schumacher played a pivotal role in an incredible Max Verstappen victory as the Haas backmarker became embroiled in the tussle between the Dutch driver and Lewis Hamilton in the final laps of the United States Grand Prix. With Lewis Hamilton gunning for Verstappen on fresher tyres in the last few laps of the race, the Red Bull driver, having been stuck earlier behind backmarkers Kimi Räikkönen and Yuki Tsunoda, costing him almost half the time advantage he held over his Mercedes rival, was certainly worried when he came up to the rear of Schumacher in the last couple of laps. As we all heard over the radio, Max was calling for the Haas to get out of the way as quickly as possible, but by being behind the Haas driver through the DRS tracking line, Verstappen was able to open up his rear wing down the home straight on the start of his final lap, just as Hamilton was starting to breathe down his neck. The whole race, the pressure was on because of not knowing how quick Lewis was going to get you, said Verstappen. We went very aggressive on the first stop after losing the lead at the start. Then again during the middle stint, Lewis was within the undercut range, so we had to respond. We had to go early again. And the last stint was very long, in this heat especially. We managed to hang on at the end with just enough in the tyres to push. With 2 laps, I had the Haas in front of me, and going into the last sector he was in front, and especially with worn tyres, it's not easy to follow. Luckily, he stayed in front, so he gave me that DRS, so whatever I lost on the penultimate lap, I think it stabilised because of that DRS. The last lap was all about trying to have a good first sector and beginning of the second sector. It wasn't easy because the tyres were really finished, but it's incredible to win here. Very nice as well, I think, for Haas to get involved in the action up at the front right at the end of the race, albeit by accident in their home Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton is looking at a self-described tough task trying to haul back in Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship with the next 2 races of an F1 triple header taking place at Red Bull strongholds of Mexico and Brazil. After taking the initial lead at the historically Mercedes-favoured track, the Circuit of the Americas, on Sunday, Hamilton and his team were beaten by an aggressive pit stop strategy that led to title rival Max Verstappen retaking the lead in the first round of pit stops and holding on in a nail-biting final few laps to take victory in the American Grand Prix, with Lewis finishing second, putting him 12 points behind his title rival in the Drivers' Championship standings. And worryingly for Lewis and his team, Verstappen has won twice at the Circuit Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico, with the high-altitude track favouring the Red Bulls, while Brazil too has seen the Dutchman thrive in recent years. But rather than looking too far ahead, Hamilton was trying to stay in the moment after his race in Austin, Texas. I'm not thinking about it at the moment. I've got to be happy with the job that I did in Austin and live in the moment, said Hamilton. Unfortunately, we weren't quick enough to win the race, but we just look forward and take it one race at a time. They are 2 circuits that are very strong for Red Bull, so it's going to be tough. We will just try to minimise how strong they can be compared to us and see if we can do a better job. Looking back at his own performance and the thrilling battle that he and Verstappen had all weekend long in the United States, Hamilton added, "The goal was to get in the lead, and finally I got a good start. I've not had as good a start as that for a long time, so I was really happy with it. Then it was just about staying clean and coming out ahead and holding on to it, so it felt good at the time to get into the lead. I thought this is the best step 1. But they were just too quick. They were quicker all weekend on all tyres in the race. Just in the heat, I think the real strength has shone through this weekend, a bit like it has in other places like Bahrain this year. So yeah, I did the best I could with what we had." So Lewis is lamenting what happened then at the Circuit of the Americas, and we've got 2 weeks to wait to see what sort of reaction Mercedes can have when we get to the Mexican Grand Prix. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, get down into the comments section below. Tell us your thoughts on the American Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. Was it the biggest, baddest and brashest that we've seen this season so far? And how will it affect the title battle? Have Red Bull done enough to get their noses nice and in front in the Drivers' Championship? And will they have enough now to take the Constructors' Championship as well, with some favourable races coming up for them? Let us know, as I say, in the comments section below. And hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with everything we do at the channel here at GP Fans.